Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is Brown versus the Board of Education and Diversity in Public Education. And of course we have with us to talk about Brown versus the Board of Education and Diversity in Public Education, Dr. Raymond Richardson. Dr. Raymond Richardson is the chairman of the mathematics department at Tennessee State University, and with Dr. Richardson is Dr. H. Coleman McGinnis. Dr. McGinnis is in the Department of History, Geography, and Political Science at Tennessee State University. And we also might add that both are a part of the continuing process of dealing with the merger at Tennessee State University. And of course, Dr. Richardson and Dr. McGinnis, let me welcome the two of you to the show for I guess about what, the third, fourth, or the fifth time that we've had an opportunity to get excellent information from the two of you. And what we're going to try to do today is to deal specifically with the Brown versus the Board of Education decision, which the two of you know we celebrate the 50th anniversary in May of 2004. And what we'd like to do is to talk about that decision, and we've devoted at least 5 shows to this particular topic, and the two of you have the third show. We've already dealt with Brown versus the Board of Education and the law, and then Brown versus the Board of Education and segregation in public education, and now we would like to deal with the opposite, Brown versus the Board of Education and diversity in public education. But Dr. Richardson, before we start off, let's have you and Dr. McGinnis give us a few words in reference to your background, your education, and that kind of experiences, and then we'll get into a discussion of diversity in public education according to Brown.
Well, I did a bachelor's in mathematics at Rush College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, a master's at the University of Atlanta University. Further study at University of Illinois, and then a doctorate at Vanderbilt. And I've been at Tennessee State University on the faculty since 1965.
Very good. Dr. McGinnis.
Well, I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and I was in the 6th grade when the Brown decision came down. And of course, that was the heart of the Confederacy, and the massive resistance program came out of the Bird machine. And I remember very much that period. My undergraduate degree is from the University of the South at Sewanee, and I have a master's from Tulane and a doctorate from the University of Virginia. And I have been in Nashville. I came to what was then the University of Tennessee at Nashville in 1972, and have been there and then at Tennessee State after the merger in 1979.
Dr. Richardson, I think you made a point earlier about the significance of the Brown versus the Board of Education decision in terms of general society and et cetera. Let's start off by having you to talk about it from that perspective.
Yeah, the civil rights movement, which actually came out of the Brown decision, changed the country, changed the South. Diversity has been for the South a change from poverty to wealth. The South before the civil rights movement was the laughing stock of the country. It was the poorest section. It had been, up until the Civil War, the richest section of the country. After the Civil War, the South sort of faded out of the mainstream of American economics. There was absentee ownership of the mineral resources of the South. The railroad came through the South, but no ownership in the South, and no jobs of the type that was in Detroit and in Chicago and so on. But after the civil rights movement, the South became one of the richest part of the country. It gave up its hold on overt segregation and gained in its stead wealth. So the change in the South has been a direct result of Brown.
Very, very good. And of course, Dr. McGinnis, let's have you to give some preliminary statements in reference to your impressions on Brown. Now, we have only half a minute to do this, and we're going to come back after this first commercial break, Dr. McGinnis, and we're sorry.
It's really about the culture. It's not that Brown, at least immediately, had that great an impact on the school system and desegregation in that sense, but over time it has been very much responsible for changing the culture in the South.
And so you think that Brown is significant as well because it changed the South
I think that's
in a
why I
very
think that was
positive
the
way.
catalyst in bringing about a lot of what Dr. Richardson just talked about.
Very good. And of course, we've got a few seconds before our commercial break. Now, when we come back, what we'd like for you to do is to look at the institution that the two of you represent and the way that institution has been able to respond to Brown versus the Board of Education in terms of diversity. We've got another individual who's coming on later to talk about some specifics in reference to that, but we want the two of you to do that for us. Of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. And diversity in public education.